So today I want to talk a little bit about Cloud9 and some of the things that they have been able to get done recently, because I think they've actually had a pretty interesting offseason, maybe even more interesting than people even realize at first. Now, I know Cloud9 is obviously a big organization that's always going to have a lot of discussion and discourse and stuff surrounding them and whatever they do. And I know people have maybe been a little bit upset about Cloud9 this offseason as well. I mean, yes, they did lose, obviously, Berserker and Jojo Pune. And when you lose those two guys in an offseason, obviously it's going to be very, very hard to replace either one of them individually, let alone both of them in the same offseason. So no matter what, this offseason was probably going to be seen as a little bit of a step back and like they lost the offseason or whatever, like people always want to talk about with Cloud9. But I think there's some cool things they've been able to get done as well. So this was a couple of days on Twitter, like a week ago or so. Cloud9 had started saying that get those notifications turned on. Roster announcements are going to start dropping tomorrow. And then they started dropping a bunch of different stuff on us that I actually thought was pretty interesting. So they started out by saying the handsomest coach in league is back for 2025 with them tweeting out a contract extension for Vigar V2. Now, hey, that's cool. Vigar V2 is a pretty, he's really, really popular on like Twitter and stuff like that. And he's very well known. I think he's well respected, it seems, by like fans, players, coaches alike, as a really good like analyst and coach and stuff like that. He seems to be a good resource. Obviously, Cloud9 finds value in him. They've kept him around for a long time. Obviously, very good. I don't know. It seems like he just works well with the team. Seems like everyone likes him and respects him. So bringing him back, I think, is cool. Nice little pickup there. Then we have, there's no place like home, a contract extension for Reaper. And again, another guy who very, very well respected. Obviously, there's been certain ups and downs at points like with him and Cloud9 and whether people think he's a problem or should be replaced or whether he's amazing or whatever. But hey, Cloud9 has continued to hang on to him for so long for a reason. And yeah, he's getting a contract extension as well. So I think that's pretty exciting and something I think Cloud9 fans should and will be happy about. But then we start getting into what I think is a little bit more of the interesting stuff. We have them tweeting out, determined to make worlds together with the God Squad, and we have a contract extension for Thanatos. Now, again, not totally shocking. We knew, obviously, from the leaks and rumors and reports we've heard that Cloud9 was going to be bringing Thanatos back in the top lane. I think maybe at certain points there was possibilities of them going other directions, but whatever. They decided to bring him back. But I think the more interesting thing here is that talk of contract extension, because we see that even more. We say, Cloud9 says, looking to add the LTA trophy to our cabinet with a contract extension for Blabber. Now, obviously, that is a no-brainer. Blabber quietly is really has over the course of the past couple of years increased his like legacy and kind of I don't know the right word, but like his portfolio of the things he's done, and he's like slowly creeping up the LCS kind of GOAT tier list with MVPs and trophies and world appearances and world semifinal and like all this different stuff. Blabber has really had an insane career, and time again, he's one of the best players in the LCS. He's so consistent. He's been such a threat for Cloud9 for so long now. He doesn't fit into every meta perfectly. He hasn't fit into every iteration of Cloud9 perfectly or anything like that. He's definitely had his own slumps and ups and downs and whatever. But as far as longevity and consistency and peak potential and stuff like that, Blabber is crazy. So yeah, getting him to a contract extension is a no-brainer. We get that. Then we also have Vulcan, the contract extension for him. The God of Fire is hungry for redemption. Now I know this might be probably the most controversial of the three. People say Vulcan might be a little bit washed. He might be on the downward slump of his career. Maybe signing him to an extension isn't really worth it or doesn't even make sense or whatever. We'll see. Maybe Vulcan's able to bounce back this season in a big way. Maybe the pairing of him with Sven is going to reignite some old things in his career. I don't know. Or maybe Vulcan just hears all the flame he's been getting, or maybe he even realizes that he wasn't good enough last season. Maybe he's going to bounce back in a big way. I don't know. But what I did think the most interesting from all of this is when I looked into these contract extensions, because it just says contract extension. It doesn't really say how long these deals are, what the heck's going on, what their plan is, what these contracts actually are. So I looked into the global contract database for Cloud9 to take a look to see if these contracts were in there already and how long these deals were and what kind of contract extensions we were talking about. And the interesting thing to note here is that these contract extensions, not only for Blabber and Thanatos and Vulcan, but also for Loki and Sven as well, are all until 2027. So they have all of these guys signed to 3-year deals. They all have them for 3 years more. Now, in the past, I probably would have said that this is a way bigger deal because in the past, we know that contracts in general in League of Legends esports and in esports don't really mean much. We sign these crazy long deals and then then guess what? If you suck this upcoming split, even if you signed a 3-year deal or what should be a 6-split contract or whatever, if you suck the next split, you might get kicked. You might not get to fulfill your contract, even though you had a contract. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Whatever. It doesn't really stop players from getting kicked, players from changing teams, all that stuff. But in the past, also, if your team signed you to a long-term contract, then they could also sell you off. They could get some kind of big buyout for you, whatever. Now, buyouts don't really seem to be that big of a part of the modern League of Legends or modern esports in general. Either people are trying to save more and more money. They're not really looking to pay for massive buyouts. We've seen even G2, letting guys go this offseason like Yike and Mickey and guys like that with no buyouts at all, which are guys who previously probably would have, garnered really, really hefty buyouts. But still, the fact that Cloud9 is now locking these guys all up for 3 years, I think is really, really cool and interesting. And if guys like, if Vulcan does have a nice little rebound, them being able to hang on to him for 3 years, I think is awesome. Having Blabber, like I said, one of the best players in the entire LCS, in the entire LCS history, locked up for 3 more years is awesome. Not really that I think Blabber would be going anywhere or anything like that, but you have Loki, you have Thanatos. Again, do I think Sven maybe has 3 more great years in him? Do I think he's still going to be around? No, but there's no risk for Cloud9 because, again, these contracts don't mean much, but if things do go well, then they have these players locked up. And I actually do think there is a trend in League of Legends esports where we're starting to see teams stick together more and more. Again, previously, we saw teams shake up every single year. Every time once our teams got knocked out of Worlds, they broke into a million pieces or went different directions or whatever. But we have now seen this offseason Team Liquid bringing back the entire same lineup from last season. We have now seen FlyQuest bringing back the entire same lineup for next season. I think people are starting to value that continuity and the development and the growth year over year more and more and more, because we've seen time and time again that just shaking things up every single year doesn't necessarily help. And sometimes your pieces need time to gel together. Sometimes they need time to mesh. And it seems like Cloud9 is at least setting themselves up to hopefully be able to partake in something like that. So I just thought this was pretty interesting. I know they got contract extensions, but I was wondering, hey, is this a 1-year deal, 2-year deal, or they sign whatever? But to see that they have this entire lineup signed until 2027, I think is a cool little tidbit that has maybe gotten lost in this offseason a little bit. So I did want to bring that news and information to you guys. As far as other news for Cloud9 and stuff that they've also been tweeting about, No More Bait join us in welcoming Enero to Cloud9. So not only do they have Vigar V2 and Reaper on that staff, but they've also brought in Enero, who's another really, really highly respected coach and person in the scene who people seem to really, really like and appreciate a lot and stuff. We had them tweeting out, announcements for Sven and Loki coming in. We had them tweeting out their official, look at the 2025 roster, which obviously we've talked about a ton. So yeah, Cloud9, again, you can definitely argue whether they won or lost the offseason. You can definitely argue whether you like their changes or hate their changes or whatever. But like I said, losing Berserker and Jojo Pune in the same offseason, those are two guys that are hard / maybe impossible to replace when you consider the LCS talent and player pools and possibilities that you have. But I think Cloud9 did their best and also bring in some really, really cool extending this coaching staff, bringing in a narrow, and also extending these players for far into the future, I actually think is pretty cool. And if this does go well for Cloud9, they've now secured their future for years to come. And if it doesn't go well, then hey, they can just kind of switch things up, like I said, they're always able to do. But of course, as always, just want to mention real quick that all of our offseason coverage, all of our Worlds coverage, everything we're doing for the rest of the year is of course powered by Holy. If you guys are looking to pick up some great tasting energy drinks that also just so happen to be healthier than the competition, definitely check out that first link in the description below. Use discount code SE5 to get €5 off your first order, or SE10 to get 10% off your entire basket. Holy, check them out today. Go buy some Holy. It really helps support us a lot. We'd appreciate it a ton. Hopefully we catch you guys in the next one. Until then, peace.